Hey everyone, Brad here today from the OFAH Heritage Centre. In this month's lesson in the Fascinating Facts series, we're going to be putting some of Ontario's smallest residents under the microscope. What are we talking about? Insects, of course. This month, we're going to dive into the interesting world of Ontario's insects. So stick around. Did you know that 44,100 different species of insects and related arthropods are known to occur in Canada, which is an astounding and massive number? Insects belong to the group Arthropoda, that includes spiders, crustaceans, and millipedes. Insects are characterized by the following. They have a head that contains the eyes, antenna, and mouth parts, a thorax to which the legs and wings attach, and an abdomen that contains the organs and usually has no appendages or limbs except at the tip, where egg-laying tubes, claspers, or other appendages are found. Insects have a hard exoskeleton to which its muscles attach. They have a heart and blood called hemolymph that circulates through the body, transporting nutrients and hormones, but not oxygen like most other creatures. It also regulates their temperature. Insects breathe through a system of air tubes that open at holes called spiracles on the surface of the insect's body. Most, but not all species categorized as insects have wings. Most insects have only one generation develop per year. But some have more, and others require more than 1 year to complete a cycle. In their development, they go through a change called metamorphosis. Some insects, including dragonflies, grasshoppers, and other bugs, undergo simple metamorphosis. Adults lay eggs, which hatch into a larval or nymphal stage from which the adult develops. Others, such as butterflies, beetles, and ants, undergo complete metamorphosis. Adults lay eggs which hatch into larvae, which then change into a pupal resting stage from which the adult eventually emerges. Although we can't say exactly how many insect species live here in Ontario, a recent survey of a patch of forest along an Algonquin Park lake turned up about 700 species of terrestrial flies alone. Extrapolating that partly from the survey, we can estimate that Algonquin Park here in Ontario supports at least 7,000 species of insects, compared to fewer than 300 species of birds and mammals. Insects not only make up the bulk of wildlife diversity, but they also play major roles in all of Ontario's ecosystems. Many plants would disappear without insect pollinators, and entire ecosystems would collapse in the absence of insects within the food chain. Apart from being extremely important to the ecology of Ontario, insects are fascinating creatures. They feed, mate, and grow in many interesting and sometimes very bizarre ways. Ontario is teeming with insects. The good ones, the bad ones, and the in-betweeners. But they're all part of the natural balance. Even the mosquitoes and midges that bug us on summer evenings are food for other organisms. Some, however, are standouts. They provide valuable services to gardeners and farmers by eating other, less desirable critters, and they help dispose of waste, dead animals, and other undesirable factors. In Ontario, insects need to survive in some form over the winter, and in fact, may require colder temperatures for proper maturation. Insects may overwinter as an egg, larva, pupa, or an adult. Most adult insects live for anywhere between a few days to a few weeks. One of Ontario's most magical feeling and beloved insects are fireflies. There are 19 firefly species found in Ontario. All fireflies belong to a family of beetles called the Lampyridae. They have the unique ability to glow through a process referred to as bioluminescence. Fireflies produce a chemical reaction inside their bodies that allows them to light up. A firefly's light is turned on or off by controlling the air supply to the luminescent or light-producing organs. The chemical luciferin is instantly converted to light in the presence of a specific enzyme paired with oxygen. Fireflies can produce green, yellow, or orange light depending on the species. Unlike a light bulb, which produces a lot of heat in addition to light, a firefly's light is known as cold light, without a lot of energy being lost as heat. This is necessary because if a firefly's light-producing organ got as hot as a light bulb, the firefly would not survive that experience. The luminous segments of the abdomen can easily be distinguished by their pale yellow color. Some species do not produce any light, as an adult beetle and some adult females cannot fly. All firefly species have luminous larvae. Amongst Ontario's smallest insect residents are midges. These are the tiny swarming bugs which people often refer to as gnats. Midges, when highly populated above bodies of water, are an indication of healthy water with regular oxygen levels. When absent, they point to pollution in the water. Adult midges get eaten by larger insects, such as spiders and even birds like swallows. Monthly, in the spring and summertime, new species of these bugs will appear. There are over 4,000 species of midges, all of which emerge in swarms. When you get these large swarms, you're seeing a mating ritual, as they need to connect with each other to mate. The large swarms are usually male midges that group together to attract females. They will go off and mate, and the cycle continues, laying their eggs on lakes, puddles, and in other damp locations, and then repeating this process. Most of the midge species seen in Ontario do not bite. However, the ones that do are females, as they need protein to mature their eggs. These biting midges are often referred to as no-see-ums, and if you meet them, you will surely wonder what's biting you, as these insects are so tiny that they're barely visible. Now, on to one of Ontario's most disliked insect inhabitants, mosquitoes. Female mosquitoes are the only ones that bite. They use the iron and protein in human blood to make their eggs, so biting you isn't personal. They're just biting you to have healthy families that can continue to bite you for generations. Both male and female mosquitoes feed on water and nectar, but only the females feed upon blood. And speaking of mosquitoes, they may be no fun, but without mosquitoes, we'd be in trouble. These little insects are an important part of the food chain, providing nourishment for bats, birds, fish, frogs, spiders, turtles, and many other species. So, take comfort in the fact that while the mosquito may be snacking on you today, it will soon be a meal for someone else. The more often you're bitten by a particular species of mosquito, the less likely you are to react to it. This is why tourists are often plagued by bites on their first trip up to Northern Ontario, while the locals are hardly bothered. The only downside to this fact is that there are 67 species of mosquitoes in Ontario, so That's a lot of bites to endure to build up an immunity. Did you know that bug spray is a relatively new invention? Indigenous peoples and early settlers had to get quite creative to help keep the bugs away. How did they do that? According to Sudbury's Science North staff, Jacqueline Bertrand, the answer is bear grease. Yep, lots and lots of bear grease. Bear grease is created by boiling down the fat of a bear and rendering it so that there is a clear liquid remaining. Apparently, oily skin makes it tough for the bugs to land. While it may sound odd, fat from local animals was a standard defense against mosquitoes back in those days. Down in the areas that are now Florida and Texas, for example, indigenous peoples used alligator grease. Bug spray aside, another way that you can avoid being bit and swarmed by Ontario's insects is to wear light-colored clothing. Light-colored clothing really do keep insects at bay, and apparently mosquitoes can spot dark colors much more easily than lighter ones. So, if you want to stay insect incognito, pack light. Literally. That's it for this month's installment of the Fascinating Facts series. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and comment below. Don't forget to check out the resources section on our webpage. There, you'll find free printable resource material like mini lessons and activity pages to follow up the virtual lessons. And please subscribe to stay connected as we learn together outside the classroom.